In the heart of a bustling city, where the rhythm of life pulsed through crowded streets, a quiet revolution was taking place. The advent of facial recognition technology promised to reshape the very fabric of society, intertwining the threads of security and privacy in a complex tapestry. As the sun dipped behind the skyline, casting long shadows over the pavement, the implications of this technology began to unfold, revealing a spectrum of ethical concerns that would ignite debates for years to come. At the forefront of this discussion stood Clara, a civil liberties advocate who had spent the better part of her career fighting for privacy rights in an increasingly surveilled world. She recalled the day she first encountered facial recognition technology at a conference. The speaker, a charismatic tech entrepreneur, painted a picture of a future where crime rates plummeted and citizens moved freely without fear. Clara listened intently, her heart racing with equal parts excitement and trepidation. While the promise of enhanced security was alluring, she wondered at what cost it came. As Clara delved deeper into her research, she unearthed a troubling reality. The technology, while sophisticated, was not infallible. Studies revealed that facial recognition systems were often less accurate for individuals with darker skin tones, women, and other marginalized groups. This discrepancy raised alarming questions about bias and discrimination. Clara imagined a young black man unjustly flagged as a suspect in a crime he did not commit, simply because the algorithm misidentified him. The potential for wrongful accusations loomed large, casting a dark shadow over the promise of safety. Meanwhile, in a sleek office high above the city, Daniel, a security consultant, viewed the technology through a different lens. He believed that facial recognition could be a powerful tool in combating crime and enhancing public safety. With cities grappling with rising crime rates, Daniel argued that the ability to identify suspects quickly could save lives. He envisioned a future where law enforcement could respond to incidents with unprecedented speed, apprehending criminals before they could vanish into the crowd. To him, the benefits far outweighed the risks. Yet, as he prepared for a presentation to a group of law enforcement officials, Daniel felt a nagging doubt. He had read Clara's articles and understood her concerns about privacy. The thought of a surveillance state, where every move was tracked and recorded, sent shivers down his spine. He grappled with the ethical implications of his work. Could he justify the erosion of privacy in the name of safety? Was it acceptable to trade civil liberties for a sense of security? As he stood in front of the mirror, adjusting his tie, he resolved to address these concerns head-on during his presentation. On the other side of the debate was Maya, a software engineer who had spent years developing facial recognition algorithms. Maya believed in the potential of technology to improve lives, but she was acutely aware of the ethical minefield she navigated daily. She recalled a project where her team had been tasked with creating a facial recognition system for a local police department. During the initial stages, they discovered that the data set they were using was overwhelmingly composed of images of white individuals. This realization sparked a fierce internal debate. Should they proceed with the project, knowing it could perpetuate existing biases? Or should they halt development until they could ensure a more representative data set? Maya felt the weight of responsibility on her shoulders. She knew that technology was not neutral. It reflected the values and biases of its creators. After countless discussions with her colleagues, they decided to pause the project. They reached out to community leaders and advocacy groups, seeking guidance on how to create a more equitable system. This decision was not without consequences. Some stakeholders were frustrated by the delay, viewing it as a hindrance to progress. But Maya believed it was a necessary step toward building a system that would serve all members of the community, not just a privileged few. As the debate raged on, the city implemented facial recognition technology in public spaces, claiming it was a measure to enhance security. Clara watched in dismay as cameras sprang up on street corners, scanning faces and logging movements. She organized protests, rallying citizens to demand transparency and accountability from their government. The slogan, "Your face, your privacy," became a rallying cry. echoing through the streets as people took to social media to voice their concerns. Clara was determined to shine a light on the potential abuses of power that could arise from unchecked surveillance. In the midst of this turmoil, a high-profile incident occurred that would shift the conversation entirely. A young woman, Sarah, was wrongfully arrested based on a facial recognition match that had misidentified her as a suspect in a robbery. The news spread like wildfire, igniting outrage among the public. Clara seized the moment, using Sarah's story as a powerful illustration of the dangers of relying on flawed technology. She coordinated a press conference, inviting Sarah to share her experience. The young woman spoke with raw emotion, recounting the trauma of being taken into custody, her life turned upside down by a system that had failed her. The media frenzy that followed put immense pressure on city officials. Questions about the ethics of facial recognition technology dominated headlines. Daniel, caught in the crossfire, felt the weight of the scrutiny. He had advocated for the technology, but now he was forced to confront the consequences of its deployment. In a moment of introspection, he realized that the line between security and oppression was razor thin. He began to engage with Clara and other advocates, seeking to understand their perspectives. They discussed the need for regulations, oversight, and accountability in the use of facial recognition technology. As the city grappled with the fallout from Sarah's case, a task force was established to evaluate the use of facial recognition in law enforcement. Maya was invited to join, bringing her expertise as a developer. The task force comprised a diverse group of stakeholders, including civil rights advocates, law enforcement officials, and technologists. Together, they sought to develop guidelines that would govern the ethical use of facial recognition technology. In the ensuing months, the task force engaged in rigorous discussions, exploring the nuances of privacy, security, and societal impact. Clara argued passionately for the need to prioritize individual rights, while Daniel emphasized the importance of public safety. Maya facilitated conversations about the technical limitations of the technology and the potential for bias. They debated the implications of data collection, consent, and the need for transparency in algorithms. Through these discussions, a consensus began to emerge. The task force recognized that while facial recognition technology had the potential to enhance security, it also posed significant risks to privacy and civil liberties. They proposed a set of recommendations that included strict regulations on data usage, mandatory audits of facial recognition systems, and the establishment of independent oversight bodies to monitor their deployment. The recommendations aimed to strike a balance between security and privacy, acknowledging that the two were not mutually exclusive. As the task force prepared to present their findings to the city council, Clara, Daniel, and Maya found themselves united in their mission. They realized that the ethical concerns surrounding facial recognition technology were not simply about opposing viewpoints, but rather about finding common ground. Each of them brought unique perspectives to the table, and together they crafted a narrative that emphasized the importance of accountability and responsibility in the use of technology. The day of the presentation arrived, and the atmosphere was electric. Clara took the stage first, her voice steady as she spoke about the need to protect individual rights in the face of advancing technology. She shared stories of those who had been wrongfully accused and highlighted the potential for abuse in a world where surveillance was omnipresent. The audience listened intently, the weight of her words resonating deeply. Next, Daniel presented, acknowledging the fears surrounding facial recognition, but emphasizing its potential to enhance public safety. He spoke about the importance of collaboration between law enforcement and communities, advocating for a model that prioritized transparency and trust. He recognized the need for safeguards to prevent misuse, framing facial recognition as a tool that, when used responsibly, could contribute to a safer society. Finally, Maya took the stage, her passion for ethical technology evident in every word. She discussed the technical limitations of facial recognition and the importance of developing algorithms that were fair and unbiased. She urged the council to consider the implications of their decisions on marginalized communities, advocating for a future where technology served as a force for good rather than oppression. As the three of them concluded their presentation, the council members exchanged glances, clearly moved by the collective message. The task force's recommendations sparked a lively debate in the council chamber, with members weighing the potential benefits against the ethical concerns. After hours of discussion, they reached a historic decision: to implement the task force's recommendations and establish a framework for the responsible use of facial recognition technology. In the weeks that followed, Clara, Daniel, and Maya continued to collaborate, working to ensure that the new regulations were effectively implemented. They organized community forums to educate the public about their rights and the implications of facial recognition technology. Clara found herself in conversations with citizens who had never considered the ethical dimensions of technology. Daniel engaged with law enforcement to foster trust and transparency, while Maya worked tirelessly to refine algorithms and ensure they were inclusive and equitable. As the city navigated this new landscape, the dialogue around facial recognition technology evolved. It became a case study for other cities grappling with similar ethical dilemmas. The trio's collaborative efforts inspired a movement that transcended their city, prompting discussions on the ethical use of technology across the globe. Years later, as Clara stood on a stage addressing a packed auditorium, she reflected on the journey they had embarked upon. The fight for privacy and civil liberties had not ended. It had transformed into a broader conversation about the role of technology in society. The lessons learned from the ethical concerns surrounding facial recognition technology had paved the way for a more thoughtful approach to innovation. In her speech, Clara emphasized the importance of vigilance and engagement in an era of rapid technological advancement. She reminded the audience that every decision made in the name of progress had real-world consequences. The stories of individuals like Sarah were not just cautionary tales. They were reminders of the human impact behind the technology. As she concluded, the audience erupted in applause, a testament to the power of collective action and the enduring fight for a future where technology served humanity, not the other way around.